How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is AdRock, and I'm back with another Freelancer breakdown, this time for Titus. Titus is a short-range fighter with a few tricks up his sleeve to help close the gap or secure a kill, but to be honest though, you really want to be up in someone's face constantly to get the most out of his kit. He and his kit are over the top and in your face. They love to hear the lamentation of the women with my bad accent. Here we go, moving on to the abilities and thoughts. Titus's first ability is Overhead Slam, a blast phase, no cooldown ability that chops at your enemies, dealing damage directly in the middle and then a little extra on the sides. You get 8 energy per enemy hit. Modifications include Battlefield Triage, which will gain extra health for enemies hit in the center and a little bit of health for enemies hit at the sides. You also get Cascade, which actually increases the splash damage every time you hit an enemy in the center. Shield Breaker, which deals damage through cover. And Power Hitter, which will increase the central width by 50% and deal an additional 6 damage, but you no longer get the side damage. Titus' second ability is Berserker Charge, a dash phase 4-turn cooldown ability which rushes Titus forward, dealing direct damage and slowing the first enemy you hit in your path, and then cleaving enemies nearby for a little bit extra damage. The ability's cooldown is though reduced if you hit an enemy. You get 8 energy per enemy hit. Modifications include Cleaver, which ignores cover, Hamstring, which slows all targets that are hit for the turn, Momentum, which deals an additional 1 damage to the main target every square you traveled, Harvest, which will gain health per enemy hit, and Pursuit, which automatically chases the first enemy hit. Titus' third ability is Thundering Roar, a free action, prep phase, 5-turn cooldown ability, which lets Titus do a huge shout, causing yourself and allies to gain might until the end of the turn, and you gain 5 energy per target hit. Other modifications include Rallying Cry, which gains 5 health per target hit, including Titus. Barbarian Rage. Allies gain might until the end of the turn, you gain energy per ally hit, but you increase the cooldown by 1 turn. And Terrifying Cry, which reveals enemies until the end of the turn, and you get 3 energy per enemy hit. Titus' fourth ability is Dirty Fighting, a prep phase 4-turn cooldown ability which flings a dagger at an enemy's weak spot, which causes them to take additional damage the next time they are hit by any direct damage effect. They're also revealed until the end of the next turn. You gain 10 energy if you hit an enemy. Modifications include Cheap Shot, which slows target down until the end of the next turn, Flurry of Daggers. If an ally triggers the explosion, the cooldown on Dirty Fighting is reduced, Puncture, which pierces the first target, and Rapid Follow-Up, which gains haste for the turn. Titus' ultimate ability is Death Blow, a blast phase, no cooldown, provided you have 100 energy, ability that ravages the land and creates a giant shockwave of power that deals direct damage and then roots nearby enemies. The further the enemy is, the less damage you take, and it'll slow them instead of root them. And then finally, the enemies caught in the last arc will just take reduced damage. Modifications include Battle Rage, which deals an additional damage for every 7% health you're missing, Executioner, which deals extra damage to enemies below 50% health, World Shatterer, the first 2 arcs each take half of the damage of the targeter, and Subduction Zone, which increases the width of the arc by 25 degrees. So here are my thoughts on Titus. It's playing him for a little while and getting a feel for him and other Tituses I find. So here's the thing. Titus is really straightforward. Swing sword, sword hit, hear lamentations, laugh maniacally, rinse, repeat, to victory. The variations really do come in the modifications, but they still all require you to mostly get in the fray, rather than, manipulate something else around you or anybody else. I prefer to play him as like the bloodthirsty warrior who just really can't seem to quite die, because the other modifications, they just want to, crack skulls as fast as they can before they croak. But you play your way. Your mileage may vary. You do you, boo. Titus really thrives in groups where he can spread the damage between enemies or give his allies a leg up. Playing as an assassin character isn't really advised. I mean, yeah, he can chase down a lone target on the verge of death and all that, but typically he kind of really wants to be where the action is and really wants to stand between himself, the enemy team, and the squishy teammates that you have. Keep in mind that frontline fighters are really a mix of tanky and damage dealers, so be aware that if your team needs a tank, Titus might not be the one for the job. He does have some survivability in his modifications, but nothing that can really soak up damage like a Rampart or a Rask. Remember that when you're looking at frontline fighters, because that's just the biggest thing people confuse. Like, oh, why can't Garrison take damage like this? Or Titus, like Rampart or Rask? And why can't Rampart or Rask or Asana do this and that? Like, well, it's kind of a mixture of the two. Now, because most of your damage needs to be done within the first 3 squares or so, you really need to pay attention to dash moves and displacement moves, blinks and whatnot. If you're not paying attention, you can waste crazy turns while playing catch-up, getting U-turned by a clever Gray or Quark. Berserker Charge can only really cover so much ground, and maps don't make it any easier, so it's gonna suck for you if you get caught out. Overhead Slam's pretty awesome with that sweet spot. It wrecks face. Try to get as much coverage on that sweet spot right in the middle for all of your enemies, and yeah, you get splash damage, but really you want to get them right in the middle. All the mods here revolve around getting as many targets hit as possible, and they're all fun, but I really prefer Battlefield Triage. It keeps me in the game longer, and Shieldbreaker will lay down the smackdown on that Lockwood that just won't stop hugging cover. Cascade is great when you're really grouped up with everybody else, and if you're really confident, you can get the hits consecutively. Power Hitter will pay off in spades. Berserker Charge is mainly used as a lockdown or a catch-up. With a 4-turn cooldown, it feels really lengthy, so a lot of people will kind of hold on to it for fear of wasting it. Don't be that caught up on that. If you're smart and if you're careful, you can probably get 3 to 4 charges out of a game if you use it enough or early enough. Cover and the map itself will be the biggest enemy with the skill. When you think you get a clear shot, Pathing likes to laugh in your face, really. The Hamstring mod is great for locking down people who like to run when exposed. Cleaver is great that catch the hidden Aurora. I've not had much success with Pursuit, so while auto chasing is nice, it's really hard to pass up other mods like Momentum to keep the pain train going. I personally like Hamstring or Harvest, which will keep me alive longer. If you're feeling confident that no one's going anywhere, you could just point blank charge. People really don't expect it. Harvest and Hamstring benefit most from that tactic, and it can throw them off, like I said. But it does leave you without a gap closer, so if they all decide to flash out or they've got jumps, you're back at square one going, oh, hey guys, I'm going to catch up, just 1 second. Hey, I need haste. Thundering Roar's best asset is the fact that it's a free action. That allows you to combo this up before making any other moves like a charge or a cleave or even an ultimate. You can use it one of 2 ways. A lot of people I see enhance the front line exactly where they are, since that makes logical sense. I mean, yeah, let's buff myself up and my friends like Rampart or Asana and make them super awesome. Another clever move to also be using your Thundering Roar before you charge in or something with your backline. Zuki, Lockwood, Nyx, they all do ridiculous damage, and if you throw in a Thundering Roar like a Barbarian Rage, that's only going to make them more terrifying that turn. Rallying Cry, I will always advocate health. Survivability over damage is really my personal playstyle with a lot of characters. Like I said before, dead DPS is 0 DPS, so keep that in mind if you wish to use Rallying Cry. You will get it per target hit. Not only, well actually no, I take that back. I think it's just enemies. I was going to say allies, but I think it's just enemies. Terrifying Cry is helpful. It does reveal enemies, but to be honest, I'd rather have the allies getting Might with Barbarian Rage or Rallying Cry to keep myself in the game. Unless you've got a lot of hidden enemies, which I don't see that multiple stealth comps happening right now, at least at this stage of the beta, I'd move on with it. Dirty Fighting is straight out the hidden gem in this kit. It deals the same amount of damage as Overhead Slam. It's a ranged ability. It sticks around for other people to hit. It reveals them for 2 turns, and its mods can turn it into a machine gun with a flurry of daggers, turns it into a tiny AoE with puncture. It slows them down with cheap shot, or can give you a gap closer with rapid follow-up. This gives Titus a bit more depth and kind of shores up any weaknesses you may have while playing him. I personally prefer Flurry of Daggers, since it'll eat up most shields. Often you get a character like Pup or Gray that'll pop it and deal ridiculous damage, and prepping the other dagger faster. You're just like, pee, 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 pee. Especially when you have a Thundering Roar to top it off. Oh, that damage. I personally find Deathblow a good cleanup ultimate when comparing it to all the others. Since further targets take less damage, its range looks impressive, but the damage isn't really on par, and you really want to try and get him as close as possible to you. Once again, he's much more effective when he's in your face. Maps themselves are also a hindrance to Deathblow, since it'll block some of the damage if people are really keen on using cover. Luckily, the mods are a lovely topping choice to sweeten Deathblow's vanilla overall flavor. You can try to keep the cleanup theme going. You can go with Executioner, which ups your damage when enemies are below 50%. You can opt out of any self-healing, or, go for more of a time bomb Titus and just go for battle range. Whatever. It can lead to a massive damage on your way to the graveyard, or, leave you the last man barely standing. Subduction Zone helps to tag a scattered enemy, and World Shatter is interesting. I haven't really had a chance to use it yet, and its description needs some help, guys. You guys need to look at World Shatter. Maybe I'm crazy, I just can't read it quite well. But at the same time, the other options for Death Blow I feel are much more interesting to use than World Shatter. And that ends another Freelancer Breakdown, this time featuring Titus. If you guys have any comments or questions or suggestions, please leave them wherever you see this video. You know, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram. Do we still do Instagram? I don't really know. I have to check back a few times. Or Twitter. I'd love to hear all your suggestions and whatnot. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.